Hello everybody, this is Nanduram and we are from Sonu Academy. Today we are going to explain about Organization of Life Introduction part. Children, you have studied in the earlier classes that biology is the science of living organisms. You have also studied the wonderful ways of living of these organisms, the complicated tasks they perform and their role in controlling the environment on the planet. How do they achieve this? Is there something special and unique in the bodies of these living organisms that is making the living organisms different from non-living things? Yes. If you study carefully, both living forms and non-living objects exist together in nature. If you analyze the chemical composition of living organisms, you will notice that they are made of chemicals which are also present in non-living objects. All the living organisms are made up of atoms of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen and nitrogen. Other elements such as sodium, potassium, magnesium, calcium, iron and sulfur are present in small amounts in living organisms. These elements, whether they present in living or non-living forms, but they obey the same rules of physics and chemistry. Example, an iron atom will be the same whether it is present in the human body or in an iron nail. If the atoms of the same chemicals are present in living forms and non-living objects and they obey the same rules of physics and chemistry, then why and how the living organisms are different from non-living forms? And why living organisms can do things which non-living objects cannot do? Similarly, both living and non-living forms are made up of atoms of same elements, but the way they are arranged and organization make the difference in their behavior. In both living and non-living forms, the organization starts from the level of an atom. In the atom of same or different elements are arranged to form a molecule. However, from here onwards, the organization differs in living and non-living forms. In the case of non-living forms, the organization stops at the level of molecules or proceeds to form crystals or colloids. In biological systems, molecules are organized in a different ways from the non-living forms. Molecules of nucleotides, amino acids and carbohydrates organized to form much larger or micromolecules such as nucleic acids, proteins and polysaccharides respectively from the above simple molecules. These molecules are arranged to form protoplasm. In turn, protoplasm is organized to form a cell. Several cells are organized to form a tissue. Tissues are organized to form an organ, and organs into organ systems, and organ systems into organizations. In complicated organisms, the organ systems, organs and tissues are complicated. Interestingly, the organization in biological system does not stop at the level of organism. Several organisms form a population, several populations form a community, several communities form an ecosystem, and several ecosystems together form a biosphere. It includes all the living organisms on the planet. Hence, in a living system, organization starts at the level of atom and proceeds all the way up to the organisms and above what we explained. Children, having learned the importance of organization and structure in relation to function, let us study in this chapter how the living organisms are organized. We will discuss with the cell, which is the basic structure and functional unit of all the living organisms, and they study how the cells are organized to form higher structures such as tissues in the next coming videos. Points to be remembered in this lesson are: atoms of the chemical elements present in the living things are also present in non-living things objects, and they obey the same rules of physics and chemistry. The atoms of these elements are organized in a complex manner in living organisms when compared to the arrangement in non-living objects. In non-living systems, atoms are organized into molecules and molecules into crystals or colloids. In living organisms, atoms are organized into molecules, molecules to micromolecules such as nucleic acids, proteins and polysaccharides. These molecules are further organized into protoplasm, protoplasm into cells, cells into tissues, tissues into organs, organs into organ systems and then into an organism. Organization continues beyond organisms to form a population, communities, ecosystem and biosphere. In biological systems, structure is related to this function. Cell, the structural and functional unit. In the last lesson, you have learned that cell is the basic unit in structural organization of all living organisms. The fundamental role of the cell in the organisms has come from intensive investigations for the past 300 years by several scientists. Our understanding on the structural and functional organization of cells has increased during this period due to the improvements made on the construction of various types of microscopes and development of a wide range of biochemical and biophysical methods. Let us see what are they. The history of science begins with the description of a thin section called cork by Robert Hooke in 1655. Using a microscope for the first time, Hooke described the cork has been a honeycomb-like structure and called each compartment has a cell which were separated by the wall. As a cork is dead material, cells were empty. Hooke's observation prompted many scientists of that period to observe a variety of material under the microscope. Around the same time, Anton van Leeuwenhoek described the existence of unicellular organisms. Next important discovery was the report on the presence of nucleus in the cell by Robert Brown in the year of 1831. During the same period, Schleiden studied the structure of a large variety of plant tissues under the microscope and observed that all plants have cells separated by a cell wall. In 1838, he proposed that cells are fundamental structural unit in all the plants. Surprisingly, during this period, Schleiden made almost a similar observation using an animal tissue. He observed the presence of cell in the all animals' tissues. These cells have a nucleus but not a cell wall. But for the absence of a cell wall, he observed that the structure of animal was more or less similar to the structure of a plant cell. Both Schleiden and Schleiden discussed their result and proposed cell theory in 1838. It states that all living organisms are made up of cells. In 1855, Rudolf Virchow observed that process of cell division and proposed that cells are formed by pre-existing cells, and this was also added to cell theory. Meanwhile, methods were developed to analyze the chemical composition of a small amount of material. Using these methods, chemical compositions of a wide variety of cells was studied. Surprisingly, it was observed that cells from different types of organisms have the same chemicals in them. They observed the same type of nucleic acids such as DNA and RNA and a large variety of proteins, carbohydrates, ions, etc. This studies indicates that all the cells are made up of same chemicals, and this was also added to cell theory. Studies on the physiology of cells revealed that cells carry physiological functions like they oxidize food materials to derive energy. They secrete the waste material. They proliferate by dividing into two identical cells, and they defend themselves against the attack of foreign organisms, and they try to adjust to the conditions in their surroundings also. These are the same functions carried out by all living organisms. In other words, functions are essential for survival of the organisms and are carried out even at the level of a cell. Function of an organism depends upon the functions carried out by the cell. This concept was also added to the cell theory. Points to be remembered in this lesson are: all the living organisms are made up of cells and their products. All the cells are formed from pre-existing cells. All the cells are made up of similar chemicals and show similar metabolic activities. Functioning of an organism depends upon the functions carried out by the interaction of different cells present in the organisms. As this theory states that all the organisms are made up of cells, we can consider the cell as the basic structural unit of all organisms, since the function of an organism depend upon the functions carried out by its cells. By putting these two statements together, cell is the basic structural and functional unit of all the living organisms. Structure of a cell. The theory states that all the living organisms are made up of cells. We consider the cell as a basic structural unit of all organisms. Since the function of an organism depend on the functions carried out by its cell, we can state that cell is the basic functional unit in all organisms. By putting these two statements together, the cell is the basic structural and functional unit of all living organisms. Having learned that cell is the basic structural unit and functional unit, yes, let us look the structure of a cell. All cells have an outer covering made up of lipids and proteins called plasma. This helps the cell to maintain several molecules inside without getting lost of extracellular environment. Inside the cell, a jelly or a fluid-like substance fills the entire volume of cell. This is called protoplasm. A major chemical compounds of protoplasms are water 70 to 80%, proteins, nucleic acids, amino acids, carbohydrates, lipids and ions. And also a small amount of vitamins are present in protoplasm. The presence of plasma membrane and protoplasm are common to all the cells from bacteria to man or a plant. The bacterial cells differ from the cells of plants, animals, fungi and protists. Cells of these organisms have several intercellular structure known as organelles. Examples: mitochondria, nucleus, lysosomes, endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi complex, plastids and vacuoles are the organelles present in these cells. Each organelle are different. Each organelle has its own membrane. The structure, composition and function of different organelles are different. The major and the most striking difference between bacterial and cell of other organisms is the absence of nucleus. All nucleus is present in bacteria are called prokaryotes, while the algae, fungi, other higher plants and animals are called eukaryotes. The absence of nucleus and other organelles in bacteria representative a primitive conditions, but the bacterial cells carries out the same functions as eukaryotic cells. The structure of a eukaryotic cell. Size and shape of a eukaryotic cell differs considerably. The unicellular eukaryotics have cells in the size range of 1 micrometer to 2 micrometers. The cells of the most of the unicellular organisms are in the range of 95 micrometers to 100 micrometers. A large single cell of multicellular organism is the ostrich egg. It is having 15 to 20 centimeters. The shape of the cell in multicellular organisms are also variously considerable. Most of the cells are spherical or satellite or columnar, means cylindrical. The polygonal or spindle shaped. Cells may also have processes of various size extending from its main body. Such long processes are seen in nerve cells. For example, these are the processes of 1 meter long in the nerve cells of spinal cord. Of the organelles present in the cell, nucleus is the most prominent one. It can be seen even with an ordinary microscope. It is covered by two membranes which are together called nuclear envelope. Inside the nucleus, there is a diffuse thread-like material called chromatin. It is made up of DNA and proteins. DNA is the genetic material. It has the information required for the synthesis of protein and other vital functions in the cell. This information is present in discrete units called genes. Within the nucleus, a dark staining body called nucleus is present. During cell division, chromatin condenses and forms definite rod-like structures called chromosomes. Nucleus controls and organizes all the functions in a cell. Besides nucleus, there are other organelles in the cytoplasm which perform different functions. These organelles and their functions are listed below. Let us see. Mitochondria. Spherical or rod thread-like organelles. These are called powerhouse of the cell, as they generate the energy required for various functions of the cell. They generate the energy by oxidizing carbohydrates and fatty acids. They have a central matrix covered by two membranes. They contain a small amount of DNA or ribosomes. Lysosomes. These are spherical in shape and are covered by a single membrane. They contain enzymes which degrade carbohydrates, proteins, lipids and nucleic acids. They help in breaking down of complex molecules to simple molecules which can be used by the cell for generating energy or for growth. Lysosomes also participate in the digestion of food material. Under some disease conditions, structure of lysosome is destroyed and this may lead to the death of the cell. Lysosomes are therefore called suicidal bags of the cell. Ribosomes. These are a pear or heart-shaped structures and are not covered by a membrane. They are made up of RNA and proteins. They may be free in cytoplasm or in groups called or attached to the membranes of endoplasmic reticulum. These are involved in protein synthesis. Endoplasmic reticulum. These are tube-like structures present in the cell. They extend all over the cell. Empty space inside the tube is called lumen and is covered by a single layer of membrane. These are two types of endoplasmic reticulum in the cell. Rough endoplasmic reticulum and smooth endoplasmic reticulum to which ribosomes are not attached. Rough endoplasmic reticulum participate in protein synthesis while smooth endoplasmic reticulum is involved in lipid synthesis. Golgi complex. These are also tube-like structures with a central lumen covered by a single layer of membrane. It is involved in the secretion of proteins from the cell. Cytoskeleton. This is a network of fibers present all over the cell. They give mechanical support for the cell and also participate in cell movement. Some of the eukaryotic cells may also have several short hair-like processes called cilia. One or two long hair processes are called flagella. These two structures helps in locomotion. The prokaryotic cell has a tough cell wall. Below the cell wall, there is a plasma membrane. The cell is filled with protoplasm and ribosomes. All the other organelles, include nucleus, are absent in the cell. Long, highly coiled circular DNA is present in the bacterial cell, which serves as a genetic material. Detailed structure of a cell cannot be seen under a light microscope. For this purpose, a special microscope called electron microscope is used to see a structure of a cell. This microscope can show even a very minute structure in the cell as it magnifies the objective by several thousands of a time. Points to be remembered in this lesson are: all the living organisms are made up of cells and cells are formed by the division of pre-existing cells. DNA, RNA, proteins and lipids are the major components of all the cells and the functions performed by the organisms are also performed by the cells. Cell is the basic structural and functional unit of all living organisms. The size and shape of various types of cells are different. Plasma membrane is the outermost layer in all the cells and the cell's interior filled with protoplasm. Prokaryotes have cells without nucleus and other organelles. They have ribosomes. Bacteria are called prokaryotes. Eukaryotic cells have with nucleus and organelles such as mitochondria, lysosomes, Golgi complex, endoplasmic reticulum, plastids and vacuoles. All the fungi, algae and higher plants and animals are eukaryotics. Mitochondria are powerhouses of the cells as they generate energy. Lysosomes are suicidal bags of the cells and participate in intracellular digestion of various substances. Ribosomes are made up of RNA and proteins and are involved in protein synthesis. of group of ribosomes are called polysomes. Rough endoplasmic reticulum has attaches ribosomes and participate in protein synthesis, while smooth endoplasmic reticulum has attached to in lipid synthesis. Structure of a plant cell. Children, in the earlier lesson, you have studied the general structure of eukaryotic cells. Through all the eukaryotic cells have the same basic structure, these are some fundamental difference between animal and plant cells. Let us see what is the difference between animal and plant cells. Plant cells. Cell wall is present in plant cell and absent in animal cell. Vacuoles are present in plant cell and they are present in unicellular animals in animal cell. Plastids are present in plant cell and absent in animal cell. Centrioles are absent in plant cell and are present in animal cell. Cell wall is present outside the plasma membrane of bacteria, algae, fungi and all higher plants. But its structure and chemical composition is different in different groups. Carbohydrates are the major components of the cell wall. The type of carbohydrates present in the cell wall of each of these groups is different. In the bacteria, the cell wall is made up of carbohydrates other than cellulose. In other words, cellulose is absent in the walls of bacteria. In higher plants, cell wall is made up of cellulose, hemicellulose and pectin and lining. Cell walls give mechanical strength to the cell. Without the cell walls, plants cannot support their long and tall body. Moreover, when the plants are watered, cells absorb water and swell. If the cell wall is not present, the swollen cells will burst and die. As the cell wall is tough and hard, it prevents excess swelling of the cell. As a result, the cell becomes slightly stretched and turgid. When there is no water, the cell shrinks and no pressure is exerted on the cell wall. The plant loses the fitness and drops. This is called wilting. Adjacent cells in a plant are connected through a long tube like structures called plasmodesmata. These tubes are penetrated through the long cell walls. Vacuoles. Vacuoles are fluid filled bag like structures surrounded by a membrane. These are present in cytoplasm of a plant cell. In a newly formed plant cell, the vacuoles are small. As a cell becomes old, these vacuoles fuse to form a single large vacuole that fills the entire volume of the cell. In such cells, cytoplasm is in the form of a thin rim around a vacuole and the nucleus is pushed to one side. The membrane surrounding the vacuole is called tonoplast and it allows only a certain substance to pass through it. The fluid in the vacuoles is called vacuolar sap and contain a variety of substances such as carbohydrates, amino acids, proteins, pigments and waste material. Plastids are the organelles which are responsible for the color of the plant cell. Various colors you may observe in plant, especially in flowers and leaves, are due to the presence of plastids in the cells of these parts. Depending upon the structure, color and function, plastids are of three types. Leucoplastids. Leuco means white. These are white color and usually seen in plant parts which are not exposed to sunlight. They are present in the cells of seeds, tubes, rocks and ribosomes. They are of different shapes like oval, rod, spherical and filamentous. They store food material. Chloroplast. These are green in color. They occur in plant parts exposed to sunlight. They contain chlorophyll in the addition to DNA presence in the nucleus and ribosomes. In the presence of cytoplasm, a small amount of DNA and ribosome are also present in the chloroplast. A major function of chloroplast is to trap solar energy and converts this to chemical food energy. As you have studied, chlorophyll plays a major role in photosynthesis. Chromoplast. This contains a fat-soluble pigment which may be red, orange or yellow. They are present in fruits, flowers and are also responsible for their colors. All the three type plasmids have the capacity to change from one to another. For example, young tomatoes are white in color. As they mature, they turn to green and then they turn to red in color. You might have seen green chilies become red and several flowers and fruits changing their color. Centrioles. Cell wall and plastids are present only in plant cells and absent in animal cells. Centrioles are present in animal cells and are also absent in plant cells. In animal cells, two centrioles are present usually on the top of the nucleus. Together they are called centrosome. Centrioles are short, cylindrical structure and participate in cell division. You will learn more about them in the next lesson. Points to be remembered in this lesson. Cell wall plastids and vacuoles are present in plant cells and are absent in animal cells. Animal cells have centrioles and plant cells do not have centrioles. Cell wall is also present in bacteria, but it's structurally and chemically different from that plant cell wall. Cell wall gives mechanical strength to the cell and also helps the cells when they are turgid. Plasmodesmata connects adjacent cells. Vacuoles occupy most of the volume of the cell and are filled with various substances. The membrane surrounding the vacuole is called tonoplast. Leucoplasts store food material while chloroplasts help in preparation of food material by participating photosynthesis. Chromoplasts give colors to flowers and fruits. Chloroplasts have chlorophylls which require for photosynthesis. They also have DNA and ribosomes inside them. Centrioles participate in all cell divisions. For cell division, take a seed and break it open. There is no plant inside the seed. Similarly, if you break open an egg, there is no chick inside. But the seed, when you sow in soil and watered, gives a plant which grows into a tree. Similarly, the egg when incubated, which gives a chick. Have you ever thought how this is possible? Plants or animals make their beginning from a single cell called zygote. This single cell divides and produces two cells. They divide again and produces further cells. The 4 cells gives rise to 8 cells. These cells are divided into several thousands of times to produce a plant or animals which has several thousands of cells. This process is called development and occur by cell division. These cells produced from the egg or zygote are two types of. They are vegetables or stomatic cells and reproductive or germ cells. Various organs in the body are derived from these two types of cells. For example, plants have stomatic and germ cells. In plants, stomatic cells produce roots, stem, leaf, etc. In plant, germ cells produce pollen mother cell, mesospore mother cell, etc. In animal, somatic cells produce skin, bone, lungs, kidney, brain, liver, etc. In animal, germ cells produce testis and ovary. As you can see, the germ cell gives rise to organs involved in the production of male and female gametes, while the stomatic cell gives rise to almost all organs except those producing male and female gametes. These cells that divided are called parental or mother cells, and the resulting cell is that products of cell division are called daughter cells. All the stomatic cells divide by the process of mitosis, while the germ cells divided by the process of meiosis or reduction division. The major difference between the mitosis and meiosis is the number of chromosomes in the daughter cell. In mitosis, the daughter cell have exactly the same number of chromosomes as the parental cell. In meiosis, the daughter cell have exactly the half number of chromosomes of the parental cell. Children, let us see the details about mitosis and meiosis and how they are given in the next two videos. Cell division of mitosis. Mitosis is a stomatic or vegetative cell division, and the daughter cell resembles the mother cell in every aspect. Organs formed by this type of divisions such as liver, kidney, brain, skin, etc. They are called vegetative organs because they do not participate directly in reproduction. Growth of any organ system in plant or animal is due to the increase in cell number by mitosis. Cells from young and tender organs such as shoot, tips, bud, root tips, tissues of young animals that divided more rapidly than the cells from old and mature organs. This is the reason for a greater rate of growth in younger organs. Before the cell division occurs, various changes are seen in the cell. The major changes is the doubling of the chromosome of numbers. Only after this period completed, the cell divided so that the daughter cell will have the same number of chromosomes as the mother cell. This is essential. You have already learned that chromosomes carry the genes. Genes carry the genetic information and are responsible for the inheritance of parental features. They also regulate all the functions of the cell by directing and controlling all the proteins in the cell. Before cell division begins, the non-dividing or resting cells are said to be in interphase. This phase in the life of cell is called interphase. Chromosomes in the nucleus of interphase cells are in highly decondensed state and forms a diffuse network of filaments called chromatin. Most of the cells spend in a considerable portion of their life in interphase. Mitosis is of a brief duration, and once the division is completed, both the daughter cells usually they enter into interphase. Once mitosis is intended, it proceeds without any interpretation. Still the cell divides is completely and the daughter cell has formed. Based on the changes occurs, there are 5 stages have been recognized in mitosis. They are prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase and cytokinesis. Prophase. This is the first stage of cell division. Before prophase starts, the chromosomes are in decondensed state and appears as a diffused network of filaments. During prophase, the chromosomes start condensing. As a result, the shape of chromosomes becomes definite and distinct. Each chromosome has 2 arms are called chromatids. The 2 chromatids are joined together by a centromere. While these are changes occurring, the nucleus and the rest of the structure in the nucleus disappear gradually. Meanwhile, the centrioles move to the opposite side of nucleus. In the plant cell, where the centrioles are usually absent, then they appear at the stage of cell division. From each centriole, fine thread-like fiber appears. These fibers are called spindle fibers. A centriole with spindle fiber is called an aster. The spindle fiber grows towards the center of the cell. Metaphase. Chromosomes now move to the center of the cell and arrange themselves in a row. This looks like a plate and is called equatorial plate. Some of the spindle fibers are attached to the centromere of each chromosome. Rest of the fibers grow towards the opposite pole and join the centrioles on the opposite side. Each chromosome is attached to fibers from the 2 opposite poles. Anaphase. At this spindle fibers pull 2 chromosomes to opposite ends. As a result, the centromere splits and are pulled apart along with chromatids. As a result, the half of original number of chromosomes move to each of the 2 opposite poles. Telophase. By the beginning of this stage, the chromosomes completely movement and will be at the end of each cell. Nuclear membranes, nucleus and other nucleus structure are reappear. Chromosomes begin decondensation process. By the end of telophase, the shell will be having 2 nuclei, one on each side. Spindle fibers are now disappear. Cytokinesis. A new membrane is formed at the equatorial plate during this phase. This divides the cell into 2 daughter cells. Thus, at the end of mitosis, 2 daughter cells which are exactly similar to the mother cell are formed. These first 4 stages of a cell division involves changes in nucleus and division of nuclear components equally between daughter cells. Hence, these 4 phases of prophase, metaphase, anaphase and telophase of cell division are together called karyokinesis, means division of nucleus. The last stage is called cytokinesis. As the cytoplasm is only the component undergoing division in this stage of mitosis. Points to be remembered in this lesson are: mitosis is a stomatic cell. Doubling of the number of chromosomes is the major event before the cell division. Interphase is the period when the cells grow in size and performs the Physiological functions. Chromatin is a condensed state in the nucleus of an interphase cell. During prophase, centrioles move to the opposite poles of the cells and spindle fibers formed from the centrioles. During metaphase, chromosomes move to center of the cell and form equatorial plate. Spindle fibers grow in a length and attach themselves to the centriole of each chromosome. During anaphase, the chromosomes are pulled apart and each half moves to the opposite side of the cell. During telophase, the nuclear member appears around the chromosome and chromosomes decondense into chromatin. During cytokinesis, a member or a cell, a wall appears in middle of the cells and divided the cytoplasm of the cell into two. With this, the cell division is completed and the two daughter cells are formed. During mitosis, karyokinesis occurs before cytokinesis. Meiosis and reduction division. Children, have you learned that meiosis is the reduction division and occurs in germ cells that produce gametes? Major difference between mitosis and meiosis is in the number of chromosomes in daughter cell. In mitosis, daughter cells have exactly the same number of chromosomes as the mother cell, while in meiosis, the daughter cell have half of the numbers of chromosomes of mother cell. Daughter cell formed by mitosis division lead to the formation of male and female gametes. Each gamete has half of the number of chromosomes of mother cell. During fertilization, the gametes fuse to form zygote. In zygote, it has two sets of chromosomes. One from the male parent, it's called sperm, and other from the female parent, it called ovum. Zygote develops into an organism by repeated mitotic divisions. A cell with only one set of chromosomes is called a haploid cell. As the number of chromosomes in the daughter cell are reduced by half, meiosis is also called reduction division. In generally, the male and female gametes are haploid cell. In majority of organisms, each cell has two sets of chromosomes are passed into the two daughter cells. However, in meiosis, only one of these two sets of chromosomes is passed on the each of daughter cell. During meiosis, nucleus divided twice. This division are called meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. In meiosis 1, the daughter cell receives only one set of chromosomes, that is reduced in the number of chromosomes occur in meiosis 1. Meiosis 2. Meiosis 2 is a simple mitotic division which occurs immediately after meiosis 1. The daughter cells of meiosis 1 divided into a second generation of daughter cells. There are total number of 4 daughter cells, each with only a one set of chromosomes. Thereof, 4 haploid cells are formed at the end of meiosis. Meiosis 1 at this stage occurs 5 types of divisions. They are prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase, cytokinesis. Prophase. Number of changes occur in the cell during prophase 1. Prophase 1 is divided into 5 substages. There are liptotin, zygotin, pakitin, diplotin and diakinesis. Chromatin in the nucleus of the mother cell condense and form chromosomes. Following this chromosome start pairing, each pair has two identical chromosomes. One chromosome of pair is derived from the father and the other from the mother. In this stage appear like a letter X. This is called crossing over the chromosome moves towards the center of the cell. Centrioles also move to the opposite ends over the end of the spindle fiber. Formation begins, then nuclear envelope and nucleus will gradually starts disappear. Metaphase 1. Chromosomal movement is completed. Chromosomes lie in the center of the cell in the form of plate called equatorial plate. Some of the spindle fibers are attached to the centrome of the chromosomes and rest the spindle fibers attached to the centriosome of the opposite end of the cell. Anaphase 1. Length of the spindle fiber is reduced. As a result, chromosomes are pulled apart. Each chromosome splits into two sister chromosomes. Each sister chromosome has segment of chromatid derived from one mother cell and one from father cell. Chromosomes moves towards the opposite end of the cell, telophase. Chromosomal movement towards the opposite poles at the end is completed in this stage. Spindle fibers are completely disappear. Nuclear envelope reappears around the chromosome and the nucleus is also formed again. With this, meiosis 1 is completed and the diploid parental cells has give rise to daughter cells with the haploid number of chromosomes. This is the second division of nucleosis in meiosis. Haploid daughter cells formed in meiosis 1 participating in this division as a parental cell. They divide to produce two haploid daughter cells. Before dividing, chromosomal number of haploid cells are doubles. As the end of meiosis 2, 4 haploid daughter cells are formed. Meiosis 2 are also proceeds in stages of prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase and cytokinesis. This division is similar to mitotic division. You may refer to the chapter on mitosis for the changes in the cell that occurs in the division and the process of cell division. Points to be remembered in this lesson are: during meiosis, only one set of chromosomes are passed on the daughter cell, hence the daughter cell have half the number of chromosomes of the mother cell. In meiosis, karyokinesis and cytokinesis occur two times. Chromosome number is not doubled during meiosis 1. During this division, the chromosomes number is reduced by half. The diploid mother cell gives to two haploid daughter cells. Prophase 1 of meiosis is divided into again 5 substages. Before meiosis, chromosome number is doubled and the haploid mother cell gives rise to two haploid daughter cells. The events in meiosis 2 are similar to mitotic division. Crossing over of chromosomes occur during meiosis. Cancer. Children, at the last lesson you have learnt the importance of cell division. Usually the cell division is rapid and occurs for a large number of times in young and developing animals. As a result, the organisms grows in size. As the organism becomes an adult, the cell division in several tissues slows down considerably. Some tissues may completely stop dividing. In several tissues of an adult organism, cell division occurs when it is required. For example, just like an injury. Thus, the cell division is a highly controllable process. However, sometimes this control over cell division is lost. Then the cell goes on dividing without any control. Due to this, a large mass of cells are formed. Such a mass of cells is called a tumor. These cells in the tumor compete with another normal cells in the body for space and nutrients and even kill the normal cells. Sometimes the tumor is enclosed in a layer of connective tissue and does not spread. Such tumors are called benign tumors. They are usually harmless and are removed by surgery. Sometimes cells from tumors spread to other parts of the body and produce a large number of cells in other parts also. This type of tumor is called malignant tumor. This condition is malignancy or cancer. In such conditions, tumor formation occurs in all the other parts of the body and this interferes with the function of normal cells. In these conditions, the person becomes weak, lose appetite and maybe ultimately die. Cancer can affect any tissue in the body at any age. If the cancer affects the epithelial cells that cover the body organs, then it is called carcinomia. Cancer of lung, breast, pancreas and stomach are the examples of carcinoma. If cancer affects the tissues like muscles, lymph nodes, then it is called sarcoma. Cancer affects blood cells, especially of white blood cells, is called leukemia. Cancer is not a continuation disease. It does not spread from one person to another. Cancer is an inherited disease. It is not passes from parent to children. The major cause of cancer is a change in the genetic material, that is DNA of the cell. A change in the DNA is called mutation. Mutations occur due to the several reasons. It must be remembered that not all the mutations result in cancer. Only certain mutations lead to cancer growth. There are three types of agents that causes cancer. There are physical, chemical and biological agents. Agents that cause cancers are called carcinogenic agents. A cancer is caused by more than one agent. There is no single cure for cancer. Depending on the type, location in the body and severity, and various methods are used to treat cancer. It is removed by surgery or cancer cells are killed by carefully exposing them to a very strong X-rays or virus for brief periods and also with drugs called anti-cancer drugs. Even these treatments cannot cure cancer completely. Among men, cancer of digestive system, especially throat and mouth and lungs are the major types of cancer. In women, cancer of cervix means mouth or uterus and breast cancer are more commonly. Let us see what are the causes of men in mouth of a throat. Tobacco smoking and gutka or chewing. In India, amongst the social health problems, diseases is due to consumption of tobacco product and smoking are important. In the present kind of consumption of tobacco, it is a continued and it is estimated that 2.4 lakhs of population will suffer with cancer. Students and youth take up smoking and tobacco, gutka, chewing due to peer pressures. Through smoking and chewing gutka causes some discomfort in the first attempt, they are all addictive in nature. Further, nicotine which is present in tobacco gives a kind of instant energy but gradually it takes our body weeks. Consumption of tobacco products. It affects generally in central nervous system, causes heart diseases, mental retardation, psychological depression, feeling of insecurity, paralysis and acute neurosis. Causes of lung cancers are oral cancer, gastrointestinal tract cancer, etc. Pregnant women may be give birth to mentally retarded, low birth weight and babies with deformities. It is therefore necessary that students do not consume tobacco products and also enlighten the users about the bad effects of tobacco consumption. Cancer can be identified at every earlier stages by the following symptoms. Cough lasting for more than 2 weeks. A persistent change in a bowel habits. Unexplained loss of weight and appetite. Sudden growth of a mole or a wart. A hard lump in the breast in females only. Excessive loss of blood. Healthy habits such as not smoking and not using tobacco products, not consumption of alcohol, proper diet and regular physical exercise can be prevent the occurrence of cancer to some extent. Remember points in this lesson are uncontrolled division of cells resulting in the formation of tumor. Beginning tumor are harmless and do not spread in any body. Beginning tumor are harmless and do not spread in the body. Cells from malignant tumor spread to other parts and form tumor tissue in the new sites. This is called cancer. Cancer can affect any part of the body at any age. It is not a continuous or a inherited disease. Certain physical, chemical and biological agents causes the cancer. These are called carcinogenic agents. Ultraviolet light, powerful X-ray, radioactive materials and tobacco are some examples of carcinogenic agents. Cancer is treated by surgery or killed by cancer cells with a powerful X-rays and drug. Cells organize to form tissues. Children, as mentioned earlier, a pile of bricks do not represent a house. Similarly, a mass of cells do not form an organism. These cells must be organized into proper parts of a body. In all the multicellular organisms, this process of organization the cell into body parts starts after the differentiation. All the cells designated to carry out a similar function will have the similar structure and are grouped together to form a tissue. Several tissues organized to form an organ and several organs organized to form an organ system, and finally it changes into organisms. Let us study how the tissues are organized. Cell, cell to tissue, tissue to organs, organs to organ systems, organ system to organisms. In unicellular organisms, all the body functions are carried out by a single cell. In very primitive multicellular organisms, as in some of algae such as volvox, hundreds of cells are grouped together to form a colony. In the colony, most of the cells are vegetative cells. Only few cells in the colony carried out reproduction, and this called reproductive cells. Thus, the work to be done in the colony is divided among the cells, and this is the primitive form of differentiation. In the modern multicellular organism, this division of work or a labor is much more complicated. A tissue is a group of cells having similar structure and carry out a similar function, and they have a common origin. Usually, a tissue has several thousands of cells arranged closely. These cells are packed in a framework or called extracellular matrix. This is made up of proteins and carbohydrates. The matrix also provides mechanical support for the cell in the tissue and keeps the cell in position. All the cells in a tissue communicate with each other of a efficiently carried out the function as a single unit. Plant and animal tissues are different in structures and functions. Let us study more about the plant and animal tissues. Plant tissues. There are simple and complex tissues in plants. These are parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma are the examples of some tissues, while xylem and phloem are examples of complex tissues. Simple tissues have only one type of cell, while complex tissues have several different types of cells. Parenchyma. Parenchyma is the fundamental and simple plant tissue. Almost all the primary structures like leaves, flowers, and young stems are made up of parenchyma. Cells in parenchyma are living cells. They cannot be either round, square, or polyhedral. There are different types of parenchymatous cells. There are collerenchyma, parenchyma, storage tissue, water storage. Let us see about the collerenchyma. Cells in this type of parenchyma have chloroplast and are commonly seen in leaves. Parenchyma. These have air spaces are present between the cells. This type of parenchyma is seen in plants which float on water, such as plants called as hydrophytes. Storage tissue. Cells in this type of parenchyma store food material. This type of parenchyma is seen in tubers and rhizomes. Water storage. Cells in this type of parenchyma store water. Such cells are seen in desert plants. Collenchyma. Collenchyma is also a simple living tissue. This tissue is present in the stems of herbs and shrubs. Cells may have chloroplast. Cells in collerenchyma are short and square or long and fiber-like with pointed ends. Cell wall is made up of cellulose and pectin, which gives strength to the tissue. Collenchyma gives flexibility and tensile strength to the plants. Sclerenchyma. Sclerenchyma is a tissue with dead cells and is designed to give mechanical strength to the plant. It also protects the parenchyma from damage due to stretching, bending, and pressure. Lignin is the major component in cell walls of these cells present in sclerenchyma. Xylem. Xylem is a conductive tissue which has both living and non-living cells. It conducts water and minerals from roots to other parts of the plant. Apart from this, xylem gives mechanical strength to the plant. Xylem tissue is also helps in identifying the plant species. There are three kinds of non-living cells in xylem. There are fibers, tracheids, and vessels. Xylem parenchyma is the living component in xylem. Cell walls of the xylem are thick because lignin is decomposition. It also commercial very useful. Phloem. Phloem is also called bast or leptome. Unlike xylem, phloem is a living tissue. Cell walls have lignin decomposition. Phloem is composed of 5 types of cells. There are sieve cells, serge tubes, companion cells, phloem fibers, and phloem parent. Sieve cells and serge tubes are long with tapering ends. Serve plate with one to many serve pores is present at the end of serve tubes. The conduction of food material from leaves to other parts takes place through phloem tissue. Besides the phloem commercial value, a bast fibers present in phloem are used for making rope animal tissue. On the basis of their function, animal tissues are of four major types. They are epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscle tissue and nerve tissue. Let us examine the structure and functions of these four kinds of tissues in animal. Epithelial tissue. It includes in man. Epithelial tissue forms a covering over the surface of the body as well as an outside and inside of several internal organs. Examples: skin is an epithelial tissue on outer side of the body. Lining of the digestive tracts is a covering of epithelial tissue cells on the internal organ. Epithelial tissue performs several functions. They offer protection, produces structure like hairs, nails, feathers and horns in the forms of gland cells. They secrete a variety of chemicals and may involve in receiving external stimuli. Cells in the epithelium are very close to each other and are joined together by a cementing substance. Epithelial cells occur in various shapes: flat, cube-like, long and cylindrical, etc. Epithelial cells lining the digestive and respiratory systems of several animals have hair-like projections called cilia. They help in moving of the food particles or mucus. Epithelial cells may be present in a single layer called simple epithelium or may occur in multiple layer called stratified epithelium. Connective tissue. Connective tissue helps in binding the other tissues and organs together and provides a framework and support to various organs in the body. This tissue also plays a major role in the transport of material from one tissue to another. It also helps in the body defense, body repair and in the storage of fat. There are different types of connective tissues, each performs a different function. Example: areolar tissue is one of the type of connective tissue which joins different tissues. It helps in packing these tissues and thus helps to keep the organs in place. Cells called fibroblast. These are the major components in this type of connective tissue. These cells secrete fibrous material which holds the other tissue in position. These cells are also help in repair the tissues which are injured. Cartilage tissue. Cartilage is a type of connective tissue found in the joints of bones of ribs, tip of the nose, external ears and in trachea. Embryos of several vertebrates do not have bone but they have cartilage. The entire skeleton of fishes like sharks is made up of cartilage. Cartilage is a hard but not as hard as bone. Bone is another type of connective tissue. It is a major component of skeletal system of several vertebrate. Bone is made up of calcium phosphate and calcium carbonate. These salts are secreted by cells called osteocytes. These cells are present in the central hollow portion of the bone called bone marrow. Ligament. Ligament is yet another type of connective tissue that connects bones at the joints and holds them in position. This is made up of a large number of fibers. These fibers are made up of a protein called collagen. Tendon. Tendon is a type of connective tissue which is also made up of fibers. The tendon joins the muscles to the bone. It is also made up of collagen. Adipose. Adipose or a fat tissue is a type of connective tissue which stores fat. This tissue is present beneath the skin, around the kidneys and in a bone marrow. This tissue is made up of a large number of cells called adipocytes or fat cells. Cytoplasm of these cells is filled with fat granules. The fat is used for the production of energy required for the body during starvation. The layer of fat, especially below the skin, prevents heat loss from the body. Blood is called fluid connective tissue. It differs from other types of connective tissue. There are several different types of blood cells. Each one has different function. As the cells in the blood float freely in the plasma, extracellular space is filled with a fluid called plasma. There are no fibers in the blood. A normal adult human has about 5 liters of blood. The chief component in plasma is water. Besides water, it also has several nutrients such as glucose, amino acids, proteins, vitamins, and hormones, etc. It is required for the body and excretory products such as lactic acid, urea, salts, etc. Plasma also contains factors responsible for blood clotting. Cells present in blood are called corpuscles, and there are of three types: red blood cells, white blood cells, and blood platelets. Red blood cells, these are known as erythrocytes, and these are in red color. In mammals, red blood cells do not have mitochondria, nucleus, endoplasmic reticulum, lysosomes, and ribosomes. In fishes, amphibians, and reptiles, they have nucleus. These cells are concave on both the sides. They have red colored protein called hemoglobin, which helps in the transport of oxygen and carbon dioxide. 1 milliliter of human blood has about 500 crores of blood cells. In human adult, red blood cells are formed in bone marrow and live for 120 days in blood. The second type of blood cells are white blood cells. These cells, they do not have hemoglobin, hence they are colorless. These cells are less in number. There are two kinds of white blood cells. There are granulocytes and agranulocytes. There are three types of granulocytes. There are neutrophils, basophils, and eosinophils. These three kinds of cells attack and destroy the microorganisms that enter the blood. All these three types of cells have granules in their cytoplasm. Hence they are called granulocytes. Agranulocytes. There are lymphocytes and monocytes. Lymphocytes secretes antibody toward the foreign material that enter into the blood. Monocytes move like amoeba, and along with granulocytes, they attract the foreign material and engulf with them. The foreign material are destroyed inside the cells. Blood platelets. These are separate group of cells which do not have a nucleus. There are thick disc-like bodies. Whenever a blood vessel is injured, platelets accumulate at the site of injury and helps in the formation of a blood clot. The clot seals the wound in the blood vessel and prevents the blood loss. Several chemicals present in the blood are required for blood clot forming. Animals' muscle tissue. Muscle tissues. Muscles are responsible for the movement of hands and legs and also of several internal organs, such as an intestine and heart. A small amount of muscle tissue is also present in blood vessels. This helps in increasing or decreasing the diameter of blood vessels and thus regulate the blood flow. Heart is made up of only muscle cells and they help in pumping the blood. Muscle cells have the capacity to shorten. This is called constriction and generate enough force for the movement. The muscle remains constrict only for a short time and returns to its original length. This is called relaxation. Each muscle is supplied with a nerve. Inside the muscle tissue, the nerve divides into several branches so that each muscle cell is connected to the nerve. When the nerve is stimulated, the stimulus reaches each muscle cell in the tissue and the entire muscle contracts at one time as an unit. Based on their structure, location and functions, muscles are there three types. They are striated muscles, non-striated muscles and cardiac muscles. Striated muscles. This is also called skeletal muscle as it is attached to the bones in the skeleton and it is responsible for the movements. Movements of these muscles are under our control. If we want, we can move our hands or legs. Hence, these muscles are also called voluntary muscles. Each muscle has several long, thin, and unbranched fiber like cells. Each cell is as long as the muscle. The several thin lines or striations across the muscles, hence the name striated muscle. Muscle contraction also produces heat. When the body is exposed to cold, we shiver. During shivering, muscle contract and relax rapidly during a large amount of heat. This keeps our body warm. Non-striated muscle. This muscle consists of short, elongated, spindle-shaped cells. These cells do not have striations. Hence the name non-striated muscles or smooth muscles. Contraction and relaxation of this muscle is not under our control. Hence it is called as involuntary muscles. These muscles are present in blood vessels, intestine and other tissues which exhibit involuntary movement. Cardiac muscles. As the name itself indicates, this muscle is present in heart and it is responsible for pumping of blood. The cells are long branched and have nuclei. Cells are joined to each other at the end. All the muscles in cardiac are striations. Though it resembles a striated muscle in its structure, it is an involuntary muscle. Nerve tissue. Nerve cells are special for receiving analysis and transmitting the information. These cells receive information from various internal and external organs. This information is interpreted and analyzed and integrated by the nerve cells. These cells also generate appropriative responses which are communicated to internal and external organs of the body. In the previous class, you have learnt how nerves transmit information from sense organs to brain. Nerve system is made up of two kinds of cells. Nerve cells are neurons and their supporting cells are called glia. Nerve cells have a body which is larger than the rest of the cell. From the cell body, two types of processes are given. The large number of short branched tapering process are called dendrites. A single long cylindrical process called axon. Both this process connected one neuron to another neuron. Neuron receives information through the dendrites and transmits information through an axon. Usually axons of several nerve cells form bundles called nerve. The axon is covered with a membrane called myelin sheath. In earlier classes, you have learned about the nerves send the information to the brain in the forms of electrical current. Whenever a nerve is stimulated, it produces a small electrical current 0.005 volts. It is called an action potential. These are generated near the cell body and travel down the length of axon and are passed on to other neuron. The dendrites of the another neuron receive the information and passes it to the body of the nerve. For this process is repeating forever. Points to be remembered in this lesson. Nerve tissue has neurons and supporting cells are called glial cells. In a tissue, all the cells have similar structure and functions and these cells are packed in extracellular matrix. Thank you. This is Nanduram and we are from Sonu Academy.